On this week's edition of the NNY Capitol Report, progressive lawmakers in Albany are pushing hard for the state to pass the New York for All Act, which would seriously restrict how state and local officials can work with federal immigration authorities. As the Trump administration has continued its intensive immigration crackdown nationwide, the New York for All Act is being pushed as a must-pass bill by some lawmakers in Albany. Senator Julia Salazar, a Democrat of Brooklyn, originally wrote the legislation and has been pushing for it for years.
It would prevent local and state law enforcement from sharing information about someone's immigration status or citizenship status with federal immigration enforcement. Local officials should not be deputized or tasked with collaborating with Trump's draconian federal immigration enforcement. That's really what this legislation is about. I know that there are active, ongoing conversations among all three parties about a package of legislation that includes a proposal to do New York for All, and I fully support including New York for All as written. I know that there are still ongoing discussions about exactly what that will look like, but I'm hopeful and agree with the advocates here that anything that fails to prohibit this collaboration from continuing would fail a lot of immigrant New Yorkers, and would be, in my opinion, a failure to do something that actually is in the interest of public safety.
Claire Valdez, a Democratic Assembly member from Brooklyn who is also running for Congress, said there appears to be some discussion ongoing about exemptions for when police could cooperate with immigration authorities as lawmakers work out the details of the bill. But she said there's real opposition to significantly changing what's already been proposed.
Absolutely. So I'm here because I represent an immigrant district, and I've heard far too many stories of high school students being removed from their families, people leaving our neighborhoods because they're afraid, self-deporting. People are living in real fear right now, and this is one measure that we can do to make sure that everyone in New York State is protected.
Outside the Capitol on Tuesday, Salazar, Valdez, other lawmakers, and advocates blocked the street and the Capitol's eastern entrance, right below the governor's office, rallying for the bill. Despite a police presence, the protesters were not arrested. They shouted chants and shared stories they say have come from people who've had run-ins with immigration authorities and immigrants who themselves are scared.
A tree that's planted by the water, we shall not be moved.
Because things are scary out here for our community. It doesn't feel safe to come out and share your stories. So our community has looked to advocates, to organizations, to community, to share their stories for them.
Senator Pat Fahey, a Capital Region Democrat, said that she has a sense that negotiations over the bill are progressing right now, and some form of legislation on the topic should come forward this year. The bill has the backing of the Senate Majority Leader, and it appears that lawmakers are working on this as part of the state budget, which is due April 1st and being negotiated right now.
I think it is working through the nuances, and as you know, New York City has the list of over 100 crimes and then they give the option about communicating with us. And I think it's going through some of that. Is that something we adopt at the state level and more? But again, I was comfortable with where we are. I want to see us move a package. I do think this is New York. We are a nation of immigrants, but the Statue of Liberty is here in New York. I think it's really important that we send that message, especially now with ICE still masked in our airports. And what does that mean? So I am hopeful we will get through this, and it just needs a little bit of time, like anything else in the budget. I am still optimistic.
Some concerns have been raised about potential retaliation from the Trump administration if New York for All were to become law. Fahey said that is a concern, but Trump is already working against New York's interests in other areas.
I think we've seen that. We've seen that when he wants to retaliate, he will. He's been like a ping pong ball on wind energy. So, we can't stop with defending fundamental rights of individuals guaranteed in the Constitution because we're afraid of the retaliatory nature of Donald Trump. So I am all for still speaking up. I mean, And quite frankly, I do think he's hesitated because we're not Chicago, because we're not Minneapolis. But if he does, I think he knows the kind of reception he would get here. It's just completely unacceptable, and I think we still need to show that this is unacceptable in New York. And the best we can do is try to make sure we minimize on civil immigration, that we fully minimize any support or any cooperation. And when they want help, as long as they issue a judicial warrant, that trumps everything, right? We're not protecting violent criminals. A judicial warrant would circumvent any process, and that would still entail cooperation.
From the Watertown Daily Times Albany Bureau, I'm Alex Galt.